I want to begin with the so-called party of science. Yes, the Democrat Socialists, that's the subjects of tonight's preamble. Take a look at these Thanksgiving guidelines from the CDC. They say encourage guests to bring their own food and drinks to Thanksgiving. Bring your own plates and your dishes and utensils. Limit people going in and out of where the food is being prepared in the kitchen. I'm not allowed in the kitchen at all. Or also it says around the grill if possible. That's right. So you're not going to get coronavirus if you're grilling outside. So if you stay away from the grill is apparently a magnet for coronavirus. Where's the science, folks? Pennsylvania just banned alcohol sales starting the night before Thanksgiving. Unelected bureaucrats are drunk with power and they are destroying lives. Think about those businesses. Think about the people who work there. Government taking away businesses, taking food out of the mouths of families because of COVID hysteria. Now, while Democrats have accused the president of being a reality TV show president, New York's governor, who's getting a daytime Emmy award, and we're not joking. Take a look. The Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York is going to receive this year's International Emmy at the Founders Award. I believe that actually happened today because of his leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic and his masterful use of television to inform and calm people. You can't say this with a straight face. The Emmy is going to be presented to the governor, who's also a New York Times best-selling author. Meanwhile, the governor, of course, never accepted the deadly consequences of his policy sending COVID patients to nursing homes that took the lives of between 6,500 and 11,000 residents at those facilities. Of course, that wasn't mentioned in his book, which went on sale last month. New York City schools are closed, and Cuomo and de Blasio have together destroyed thousands of businesses and the livelihoods of thousands of people. He's the governor also of a state where people are leaving in droves. They're leaving New York at a higher rate than any place else in the nation. Oh, and by the way, he bankrupted the state in the whole process of his so-called great leadership. My question, who was the runner-up to this award? Absolutely incredible. But of course, that didn't stop him from taking a shot at President Trump last week.
Is to be strong and secure enough to admit your mistakes and admit your shortcomings. Don't get defensive. Denying the mistake only assures repeating the mistake.
I mean, getting an Emmy for basically lying and manipulating people and doing exactly what he just said that needs to be done, or not doing what he said what needs to be done. Again, you can't make this stuff up, folks. They think you're stupid. They think that you're not going to notice the hypocrisy in all of this. And I guess, I'm not watching the Emmys anymore. I don't know about you. Across the country, California Governor Gavin Newsom has imposed a new round of curfews from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., impacting 94% of folks in that state. I guess the virus seems to be more active later in the evening. I wonder what the science is on that one. Those draconian restrictions have led to massive protests in Huntington Beach, many calling themselves curfew breakers. Some demonstrators saying these restrictions are a bridge too far. The curfew is expected to last at least a month for now, but with Gavin Newsom, who knows? As for the governor, he's quarantining after 3 of his children were exposed to a highway patrol officer who has tested positive for coronavirus. Newsom was busted last week for attending an indoor dinner at a fancy restaurant with more than 10 people. I don't believe any of them were wearing masks. And not just a fancy restaurant, folks, $1,000 a person fancy restaurant. Again, limousine liberals, do as I say, not as I do. Governor Phil Murphy in New Jersey is catching heat for a similar situation. He was confronted this weekend by angry constituents for eating dinner with his family without wearing masks. The Murphy family was eating outside, but he has threatened to institute further restrictions in New Jersey if COVID cases continue to spike. As Democrat governors to continue to call for more restrictions, AstraZeneca becomes just the latest company to release details about a vaccine. The drug maker says their vaccine was 70% effective in late-stage trials. Pfizer and Moderna reported last week that their vaccines were over 90% effective. And while this is good news for the country, President Trump last week couldn't help but wonder about the timing of these announcements. Take a listen.
We're way ahead on vaccines. You wouldn't have a vaccine if it weren't for me for another 4 years, because FDA would have never been able to do what they did, what I forced them to do. And Pfizer and others even decided to not assess the results of their vaccine. In other words, not come out with a vaccine until just after the election. That's because of what I did with favored nations and these other elements, instead of their original plan to assess the data in October. So they were going to come out in October, but they decided to delay it because of what I'm doing, which is fine with me because, frankly, this is just a very big thing.
Yeah, look, one of the things that you're going to see come out of the legacy of the Trump administration is the regulatory relief and the spending and the use of the federal government to help make these vaccines happen. That'll be something that we'll talk about in this country for many years to come.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.